let's move on to the next topic then. From unlimited movies in a month to unlimited dragons in Westeros. Let's talk about the
Unlimited.
premiere. Well, probably not unlimited, but more than one, more than three dragons. Oh my
More than
god!
three.
Unlimited budget. Uh,
Unlimited budget. Yeah.
let's talk
Uh,
about the season premiere of House of the
of
Dragon.
the dragon. I actually don't know
Keep
if they
going, keep
use
going, keep
that
going,
intro.
keep going.
Na, 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 na,
No, no,
na.
no, no, no.
Na, na, na. Okay.
So bad. They're
Okay.
so bad. But yeah, House of Dragon series premiere on HBO Max on TV, or you watch it on HBO Max, or I
Mhm.
don't know what. I'm guessing you probably watch it from HBO, right, in Indonesia. I don't know.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. I
and
borrowed a friend of mine's.
yeah, yeah, spin-off to Game of Thrones. The spin-off show prequel
The not
series
prequel
focusing
series, yeah.
focusing on House Targaryen and uh go their not their rise to power, but more like their
Their
their fall of power.
decline, actually.
Yeah.
Their decline of power.
So yeah, the Game of Thrones series stuff. Let's just start
Should
with
we the spoiler directly or
non-spoiler. Let's just go
non-spoiler? Okay,
non-spoiler
yeah.
a bit, and then we go to spoiler.
Okay.
So
Why
yeah,
don't you go first with a non-spoiler? Because I'm not so sure how to word it as such.
yeah, I was somewhat whenever they show the trailer, whenever they show the show, I was somewhat I don't want to say
Skeptical?
skeptical.
No,
No,
not
skeptical
skeptical.
is not the right word. But
Ah,
I just wasn't that excited. Like
okay.
I wasn't lots of people were super disappointed in season 8. I wasn't
Yeah,
one of them. I wasn't one of them.
yeah.
I thought season 8 was fine. I did not hate it. I become a Game of Thrones fan super quick. Like my rise to Game of Thrones like fandom and love is like
You
in a very short time frame.
actually, yeah. Come to think of it, like you started after me, right? And I started at like the beginning of season 7.
Yeah, I started after you. I don't remember exactly when I started watching. If I started like after season 7 or build season 8, but I was late to the game, but I was absolutely obsessed with it. To the point where I watch all the lores, I catch up with everything. I was just absolutely in the world of Game of Thrones. And when the series wrapped up, I
Hmm?
I wasn't. Yes, there was part of me that was let down, but I wasn't like fully disappointed. I just didn't thought like okay, could have been better, but like I didn't hate it. Like I know some people like absolutely hate it, but I guess it was a good enough time since then to this premiere where sort of the hype went down,
Hmm.
and I guess like I wasn't I didn't really understand what the story they're trying to tell in in the series prior to all this. Like if you watch my trailer reaction, someone literally criticized of like, "Oh my god, Rhaegar Targaryen, you
Yeah,
dumbasses, 100 years ago."
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Because I legit don't know. So like I didn't have that much expectation. I wasn't too like crazy invested into it, but I absolutely like this premiere. I thought it was great. It's so nice going back to Westeros and like several hundred years ago to see it. And
Mhm.
again, mild spoiler. It's 100 years ago. It's not really spoiler, but yeah. Where I thought Paddy Considine as King Viserys was great. I thought Matt Smith as Prince Daemon was fantastic. I really like his
Oh yeah,
performance.
Milo. Sorry.
Milo, the Doctor Who, however you want to see it.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. I like Millie Alcock who plays the young Rhaenyra
Uh,
Targaryen. I thought she was great.
Ranera, yeah.
Yeah. The direction is great. Graham McTavish, who played Westerling, I thought it was great. It's just nice to see again being to the world. It's so much nice. The music by Ramin Djawadi, oh, so good, and just the
Hmm.
world and the direction. I like that they went with Miguel Sapochnik, who directed one of the best, like some of the best episodes, and they just started with him, starting strong. And I know the Benioff and Weiss not involved, so a lot of people are relieved. Uh,
Yeah.
but I just think they did a good job establishing the first episode, building up to the series, um, and just setting up everything and what to expect, and just bring you back in this bringing up a sense of nostalgia, sort of like bring all the familiar stuff, but everything new as well. I thought they did a good job. How about you?
Mm, yeah. I mean, I like that. I think in the intro part of the this is not much of a spoiler. Don't worry. Like in the intro part, they told you exactly like when it was set. Basically, it's like in a long text, but then they just like crossed it out 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they made it. Uh, Not only did they made it like clear when as well, but they want to show like people who's watched Game of Thrones a clear indication when it was set, when the apa when the story was set. So that's pretty cool. And also like I guess it's nice to see the Targaryens are actually like doing somewhat well. I mean, like literally in the beginning of Game of Thrones, they're gone, they're dead, or at least they're known to
More
be
or
dead.
less, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting to see them at the height of their power, and arguably, I think it's safe to say that they're like the most interesting house because I mean, who else has dragons?
Well, I don't know. See, I don't think, and I guess we can go to spoilers soon enough. But yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna say my thoughts. But is there anything else you want to say non-spoiler about the premiere and everything?
Wait. Let's see.
Are you gonna be watching week to week?
I'm watching week to week because honestly, like, yeah, no, the first episode was really good. I think I quite liked it. It wasn't to the same level of Game of Thrones, but was very good. It was enough to hook me in. And dragons,
Dragons.
dragons. I really like the dragons. But yeah, that's all I
Uh,
can really say about the non-spoiler.
yeah. Apparently HBO Max crashed during the premiere of this because everyone's
Oh,
just watching it. So one
oh,
good
is it
thing that came
because
out of
too
HBO
many?
Warner Brothers this week because everyone watching this. Yeah.
Well, shit.
Um. But yeah. Should we go to the spoiler then?
Yes, yes. We can click on the or the thing or the thing. Yeah.
Spoiler tag. So yeah, spoiler warning. Um. I don't know how long. Well, I guess I'm gonna try to remember to put a time code in the description eventually after the live stream. But we'll put. You know what? We'll put a banner down here for the video listeners, for the video audience.
Yeah.
I'll put like a banner down here on the screen. So if you want to mute our video live stream, you can. And then once we come back, you can unmute it because the only thing we're talking about after this one is She-Hulk Attorney at Law, and probably we'll spoiler as well. So if you
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
seen it, just letting you know ahead of time. But yeah, let's go to spoiler discussion of this one.
Right. 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 So
Sorry.
let's see. How do I start this out? Okay. So yes. I thought the starting was quite interesting because we basically get to see what is it? I think it's an old setting from the previous Game of Thrones as well, Harren Hall, where they're electing like a new king or queen.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I like I don't know. I thought it was kind of fresh to see other Targaryens apart from Daenerys and her like brother who died in season one. Spoiler,
Also, his name is also
10 years ago.
Viserys, right?
Yeah, yeah. Also Viserys. Yeah, no. There's the thing about Targaryens; they're not very creative with their names. That's why there's like 7 Aegons.
Yeah, there's so many Aegons and so many Viserys and yeah and everything.
Yeah, so yeah, they're not creative with their names, but you know what? Their names are pretty cool, so allow it. But yeah, so basically I like that the we kind of get unlike Game of Thrones, the okay, you know what? No, I wouldn't say it's better, but like they basically kind of just tell you like the premise of what's going on. Like they mention it in a narration, like the House Targaryen is like on a decline, and there was like this conflict between who was supposed to be the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms kind of thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, I quite like the premise behind that. And as we know, what happens in Game of Thrones when somebody is like, "Oh, I wanted to be king. No, I wanted to be king." It usually ends in a bloodbath. I'm pretty sure it's no different here, but at least it will be an exciting bloodbath.
Yeah, and like and obviously like dragons is a big thing, right? But like one of my favorite thing about the Game of Thrones series is the politics.
Yeah, it's the
That's what,
politics. Yeah,
and the world building and the politics and the power struggle, the power dynamic, people wanting to have power. And I love that they don't shy away from that and they directly jump into it about like, because literally, like you say, the Harrenhal thing, it's about Viserys becomes king. He's
yeah.
no he, well yeah he's the next heir,
Next era. Yeah.
even though there is
What her
Princess
name was?
Rhaenys Targaryen, who
Rhaenys.
is
Yeah.
the queen who never was, even though she is the next, like in terms of like who's next in line, she's supposed to be it. But Targaryen have a thing of like they skipping the females, right? They skipping
Yeah,
the
yeah. I
women
mean, that's
in
just
their
like monarchy in general. So it's like it's always a king. Women have no rights, kind of.
right,
They
and then
have a
like
different mindset.
yeah, and then at the end of this episode, directly we already jumping ahead here. Like the Rhaenyra is being put into the air, so like that power thing is already super interesting. Like the whole time, Viserys wanted wanted a son to sort of do it because he's afraid of Daemon taking over, and like because he's a bad dude. But
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just the
yeah,
whole idea of it, and even you can tell from like Otto Hightower sort of one power, and we're gonna talk about it of him like sort of sending his daughter very uncomfortably to like seduce Viserys, comfort him.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but like you can tell even in that was it is it the council or whatever like the
Oh,
table thing
the small council,
the
ones
small
that help
count
the. Yeah, yeah,
yeah you can tell like all of them in a way sort of want the power for himself as well. So I like
yeah,
that a lot.
yeah.
Um, but I was about to say you mentioned earlier how Targaryen is one of the cooler families. I didn't
Well, you don't find them.
I didn't really like the Targaryens because I thought they're kind of boring. They're
Mhm.
cool and they have an interesting history, but I never found them to be the most interesting. And they're sort of
Right, right.
painted. They have at least in Game of Thrones, they're sort of painted as like the bad family.
As the main,
They're
as the
like the
main bad
Slytherin.
guys. Yeah,
They're like the Slytherin
yeah,
of
yeah,
the Game of Thrones kind of thing. So it's
yeah, yeah,
interesting that
yeah.
they decide to make a spin-off show based on this. And I get it, that's probably because of the dragon aspect of it. And
Mhm.
even so, picking this particular storyline of like the fall of power instead of the rise of power of like Aegon, the first Aegon, and like how he conquered Westeros, which I think could be an interesting story of its own. But they decided to pick
I
how the downfall of it to what ever happened in Game of Thrones is an interesting choice.
actually, I would like to mention that if they were to try to what is it, show the rise of House Targaryen, or maybe their time before, before they moved to Westeros. I tell you, dude, that budget has to be in the billions. There's
Oh,
like,
too many
imagine that.
dragons.
Imagine like an entire metropolis, like a gigantic city filled with dragons flying around everywhere.
Huh.
Like, so imagine like a city three, four times the size of King's Landing, but with dragons flying around.
Not
Yeah,
yeah, I guess not only that, but like this series, I'm guessing a lot of them is probably gonna. I mentioned to you like off call, but like probably gonna take place in King's Landing, and you said in
yeah.
Dragons. Well, I'm blanking on the name.
Dragonstone.
Dragonstone
Dragons.
mostly probably,
Yeah.
but like if conquering Westeros, they have to go to like throughout the whole Westeros because
Yeah, whole
there
Westeros.
is a battle
There's
with
like
Dorne as well
Essos.
and everything,
Yeah,
and
Essos,
Essos too.
Dorne here. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
so
that's
many
a
things
lot
to
of budget.
film.
Yeah,
Like, no money in the world can, well,
fair.
unless you're owned by
That's
Disney or
probably why
something.
they picked this.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, this is more close to, what do you call it? Like the Game of Thrones storyline, because
Mhm.
like, like, obviously, like, House Targaryen has practically like fallen ever since they lost like their dragons and everything. They even made that very clear. Like, what is it? There's that one dialogue with Rhaenys and Viserys
Mhm.
where like he's mentioned like what's the difference between like Targaryens and like other people, and they're basically saying, right, like Targaryens are
Yeah,
closer
I
to
love that.
gods because of their dragons, otherwise they're just normal people. Like, it's kind of
I,
foreshadowing Game of Thrones in a way, even though it already happened.
I yeah, I really like
Yeah.
that too because like uh it's really like I think Daenerys also said that like a while in the series or something like that. And it's sort
Mhm.
of like yeah, Targaryens in Essos, they are nothing special because there are lots of strong families with dragons as well. But they come to
There were, yeah.
Westeros. They come to Westeros, and they are really special because they have the dragons. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, here, if you want the full like lore that I read, at least, no, not read, watched, it's like there was basically, Valyria. It's full of like houses, just like Westeros is, but they all have dragons, all those houses. And Targaryens were
Hmm.
arguably like one of the weaker ones, but they were
Yeah,
also the
exactly.
yeah, but they were also the first to leave, right? Because they can foresee like the doom of Valyria, like the whole nation was basically hit by a volcano. Everyone, so all the houses are
Hmm.
gone. So now they're the only ones with dragons. So yeah, that's pretty. I mean, that's just a bit of lore. I don't think it was mentioned anywhere in the film, but I mean, in
No,
the
not
sorry,
not
in
in
the
the
series.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I heard about that lore too because I looked it up. And like the idea of like prophecy as well and like foreshadowing is like I think gonna be big in the series because Viserys mentioned how there was a that the reason they go to Westeros is because they showed a volcano and they also saw like the dream of like winter, eternal winter,
Oh yeah, yeah.
um,
The like
which
the
is
end of
basically
man
the
is
end of
like
Game of
it comes
Thrones,
with a winter. Yeah.
which is like the end of Game of Thrones. And in when Viserys said it, it's like there will be a Targaryen on the throne when that happened. And well, not
Wow.
really, because the
More
Targaryen.
like more like a wolf on a wheelchair, but
Yeah, yeah, but like it's sort of the idea of like, oh, are you gonna fully believe everything that was said, or like sort of thing? And like, I think that's gonna be their downfall or whatever, like their greed of like they
oh,
believe like, oh yeah,
oh they
we're destined
oh
for this.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
gonna be
actually
great,
wait, yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's
now
what their
that you
downfall
mention it,
is.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's what now that you mentioned it, like yeah, they keep like believing in visions and all that. And to be honest, they had the right to because as I just mentioned about their history, they were saved because of visions. So I guess
Yeah,
that's why they're just like over reliant on that. And they're like thinking, surely nothing could go wrong. And then
yeah,
everything did went wrong, assuming how they got to where they are in Game of Thrones.
yeah. That's true. And like going back to the show again, I um like the council is cool stuff. The sequence, one of the best sequence I think in this episode is because they have the contest for to celebrate the birth of the
of
child
the
of the king,
of the child, yeah, and the
which didn't
jousting.
happen, and I because I don't know anything about this. I didn't read into it. I didn't know that. I had a feeling. I had a very strong inkling of like I think both the mother is not going to survive and the kid's not going to survive, and that's going to make the
Ooh,
drama, and that's what happened, right? Um, but that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sequence when the jousting fight intercut with the mom giving birth, the queen giving birth, that was a very good sequence, but also very disturbing sequence.
Oh, yeah. As Kate mentioned here, her screams and expressions could be felt beyond the screen. Her body language, the way it recoiled, tense up, in pain,
Yeah,
made it all excruciating to it is. Yeah, it was.
because like the joust people are sort of like they're fighting for, well, at least Damon, they're fighting to get the crowd hyped up. It's like he wants like, yeah, give me that.
Yeah.
The other guy's like fighting as well for power. They're like sort of fighting for their life, quote unquote, but it's really more of like for showmanship. Meanwhile, in the other hand, she's literally fighting for her life giving birth. So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
that
yeah.
intercut of everything is like I thought that was really well done. I really like
Yeah, I
that
thought that
scene.
was yeah. I don't know why it's just like the part where she's like trying to give birth, and then they had to do like the C-section as well.
Yeah, yeah.
God, that arguably that's more brutal than the fight was in the jousting. It's like people getting their heads bashed
Oh
in
yeah.
with a hammer or axe is just like normal, but the mother giving birth, that was very hard to watch.
Yeah, 100%. Um
Ugh. But I like the portrayal of it though, like the way they shot it, how it like cuts back and forth, and also like kind of the voice like either like mutes or muffles. Well,
yeah, the sound editing in that scene.
oh damn.
Yeah. And also I yeah, I like that sequence. We already talked about the after the talk in the after the funeral about everything, and like the funeral scene on its own is a great scene. Um, I like the foreshadowing of I like the foreshadowing of where Rhaenyra's and Alicent Hightower's friendship is gonna go,
Mm-hmm.
and like how Rhaenyra has both tendency of like Arya and Sansa in her, because she's sort of like, well, I don't want to be a queen, I want to be fighting,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like I want
She
to be
wants to
riding
do her own
dragon.
thing, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My guess is
Um,
that she is kind of like the Arya of the show, maybe. I'm not so sure actually.
probably.
I
Well,
mean, most
yeah.
likely as of right now.
And like that scene in the by the tree when they're like when they're talking, I thought that was a good scene as well between the two friends. And like also
Yeah.
I didn't notice until I look it up after the show. But the were you aware before I told you? Were you aware that there was going to be like two different time periods? There was going to be a time jump, and they have two different actors
Yeah.
for
No. No.
Alison
No.
Hightower and Rhaenyra.
Yeah. No. You told me that. Yeah. I wasn't made aware of that. I was. I guess it's kind of interesting to see where it goes. But
Right, especially because they only have shot season one, and
yeah.
so it's confirmed that there are going to be. I don't know if going to be if there's going to be a jump back and forth between like the. I'm guessing.
Hmm.
Well, I'm just gonna call this. I'm just gonna call what we saw here the past, and what the present is gonna be. I don't know if there's going to be a jump back and forth, or if it's just gonna be like the first 5 episodes is like this timeline, and the next five is gonna be the time jump. I don't know what's the case there.
Yeah. No, my guess is like yeah. No, first five is like early, and then later five is, you know, late. I don't know. It just like makes the most sense, I guess, in a story point of view.
Yeah, that's fair. Kind of a little bit. I'm excited to see because Olivia Cook is a great actor. I've never seen Emma Darcy,
Mhm.
um, but I'm liking the portrayal of Alison Hightower and Rhaenyra Targaryen, the young version by Millie Alcock and Emily Carey. I thought they did a solid job, but I guess the time jump
Yeah.
is sort of necessary, especially with the way it's going, especially for Allison's arc, because we already see at the end of the first episode of her father literally telling her, "Hey, put on your mother's dress, go comfort the king." That is very unsettling. Like literally,
That
the
is.
father literally pimping out his own daughter.
He's
That's
really out his own daughter. Yeah.
literally right. That's like kind
Yeah.
of disturbing, but that's sort of the politics of the time, I guess. And like,
It was how it was back then.
yeah. And I'm curious to see what the commentary is gonna be because, like, again, that will in a modern series that's like not something that people is probably going to tackle, but because of the time period, and they're probably going to have commentary of it and like what the morale of it is going to be. So I'm interested to see how
Hmm.
that's going to go. But yeah, again, that time jump is probably necessary because or not is going to be very uncomfortable seeing however old the younger Alison Hightower is. Like I don't know, I don't think they mentioned their age, but like she's very young, and Paddy Considine King Viserys is like old, so it's gonna be very
Oh yeah, yeah,
uncomfortable.
yeah.
So I think the time jump is probably necessary for that.
Yeah, no, surely. Wait, did they
And
mention that how far the time jump was, or is it just, or you can't find anything on top of that?
I don't know if they mentioned. I don't recall. I don't think they mentioned in the show or in the Wikipedia page or whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's
Mhm.
definitely gonna be time jump. And again, I know you mentioned you sort of know what's gonna happen because you read into it. I still don't know what's gonna happen. Like I know
Yeah,
it's gonna be the downfall. I know that there's going to be the battle of like the dance of the dragons, which honestly
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they should have named the series Dance of the Dragons. That sounds so cool. That sounds so much cooler than
Well,
House of the Dragon.
yeah. I mean, to be fair though, like Game of Thrones is the book is a Song of Ice and Fire, so I
Yeah,
guess they don't
fair,
want to name the show the exact same.
fair. Uh, but yeah, I think there's gonna be like the Targaryen War of Succession, which is like leads to the downfall, right? So like I know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
eventual end game of the series is. I just don't know how it's gonna go. Um, but where was I going with it? Oh, uh,
Yeah.
the fact that Targaryens have a history with like incest and everything.
Mm.
And that scene with Prince Daemon and the necklace that he gave to Rhaenyra, I don't know if that's anything more than just an uncle niece relationship or if it's gonna go to something more that I don't know if I feel comfortable with.
Were you feeling a bit uncomfortable? Like, hmm.
Well, initially I was like, oh, that's kind of wholesome, and then the more I think about it, like, wait a minute, they're Targaryens. I don't know.
You didn't actually think Damon is gonna do the have sex.
I did not put that together. But oh my god. Well, he was doing it. He was having sex. And to be fair, the scene in the brothel where
Yeah,
the lady is like, "Do you want me to grab someone with? Do you want me to grab someone who have a silver hair?" That is like
silver hair. Yeah.
unsettling. That is
Oh
very
yeah, that's
unsettling.
yeah. No,
Considering like
that's
at least in the Targaryen family that we know of right now, it's only the wife, the queen, and Rhaenyra.
yeah.
They haven't shown anyone else in Targaryen, so that's like unsettling.
I actually, yeah, no, that's true. I think. Oh wait, that means. Oh no, no, it's not that the main people. I guess she knows the person who runs the brothel. Like she knows that Targaryens are into this
Or just Prince
stuff.
or just Prince Daemon doesn't get off. You only get
Or
off
oh
to
yeah.
silver hair. Yeah,
Oh my
it's his
god.
fetish. Um, but yeah, where are we going with this discussion?
Or we're going with with Damon.
But
Actually, I don't know,
I'm
dude.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know, like maybe you wanna talk about him. Like a lot of people seem to find his portrayal, amazing. And
It's
I
very
guess
interesting.
yeah.
Matt Smith's great. I'm curious to see where this character goes again. They're sort of painting him as a villainous, sort of more like the Cersei arc, right? Like sort of the one to root against.
I actually yeah, that's true. Like, cause like basically he wants the Iron Throne, but
He's very
obviously
reckless.
he's very yeah. But obviously like he's being stopped from preventing get to reach that in every single way. Like
Mhm.
becoming the what are they called? The City Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, brutal scene by the way that was.
Hmm.
So like they kind of like try to prevent him from becoming king, and I think at this point I think the next I think it's kind of clear like later on like he's basically maybe pissed about the fact that Rhaenyra is the one ruling, and he's like, no, it's supposed to be me. I'm the only boy. I'm a real
Pretty
boy.
much. Pretty
I'm a real
much.
boy. I can rule.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm definitely again. I think they did a good job with the premiere. I'm super invested to see where this goes.
yep,
And one of the things that I think is gonna differentiate this series with Game of Thrones is I didn't caught this until someone pointed out,
yep.
but the show started off with a narration, and it's Emma Darcy who's playing the adult Rhaenyra. It's her narrating,
Oh, so this is the time skip, or wait,
probably.
no.
It's probably like I get like a flashback, but like the fact that it's being narrated is it because do you know about the source material of this? Because like from like Game of Thrones is written from like a top down point of view of like it's not like a first person point of view. It's like sort of someone telling the story of everyone, right?
Yeah,
Sort
yeah,
of like
yeah.
a God's eye kind of point of view. But like this one, what's the book source? Fire and Blood. Fire
Yeah.
and Blood is told Fire the book Fire and Blood is written like in canon. It is written by a maester, I think. Is that what you
Mm-hmm.
call it? It's written by
Yeah,
someone.
Maester, yeah.
It's written by someone in universe of Game of Thrones, telling the
Yeah, yeah,
story
yeah.
of it. So like much like history books, it can be like misleading depending on how it's told, right? Like different perspective. Like you know how like history is always like written by the how
The
what do you call it?
victors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's like written that way and
Oh,
like
so you're
the narration is by Rhaenyra, that could be like sort of told from the maybe it's like
Yeah,
not all true and it's told from this point of view, which would make a completely different tone from Game of Thrones. And I'm kind of interested to see how that goes.
okay, so I guess what we're gonna be watching is basically how things unfold in accordance to her.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. So maybe not all of it is true, and some parts may be a bit, I guess, different.
Yeah, like could you imagine? Like imagine if this is gonna be like a how cool of a fan service it would be if, like in the season finale, they reveal that it's like Emilia Clarke comes back and Daenerys is like, "Hey, you write a story about my family," and this whole thing is like being told from that perspective. Like it's literally Daenerys telling someone to write the story of her Targaryen family. I don't know,
The
like
trigger.
because it's written that way. I don't know. How could I don't? It could be interesting. They would make it. They would
Huh.
make the tone. If there is an ongoing narration throughout the whole series, that would change. That would give an interesting tone to it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah. I mean, it'll
Unreliable,
definitely be a lot.
unreliable narrator.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be a lot more different than like Game of Thrones was, because Game of Thrones was, just directly the story.
Hmm. But yeah, I'm super interested. I'm gonna watch week to week. Definitely
Yep.
excited to see where this goes. 10 episodes a season. Yeah. I don't. I think I've said a lot about the first episode. Again, I can talk for hours, but I think I'm gonna save it for now. You have any other thoughts that
Actually,
stands
yeah, no,
out to you?
there's. Oh, okay, well, yeah, it stands out to me, but it's not like very important to the plot. I don't know why, but like, it's a bit like such a weird feeling to see. What is it? In the first scene, right? Rhaenyra was like riding her dragon over King's Landing, basically, and
Yeah.
I don't know why, like just seeing like the common folk, like they don't even look up. It's like they know a dragon is flying by and they know it's like a
Ah,
common
yeah. That's
occurrence,
so that's so
which is
different.
which is
Yeah.
a completely different vibe from from Thrones. When I'm not sure if you remember, I think it was in I'm not sure if it was 7 or 8, but like Daenerys was riding to Winterfell, right?
Hmm.
And when the dragons flew by, the peasants they all like screamed in fear.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
That's
like I don't know. That's like it's a different tone. Like a different. It's clearly set like in a different like timeline where dragons are pretty common and people are just like, oh look, a dragon.
that's going to be interesting contrast too. Yeah. And
Oh
I
yeah,
also like the small details of like, oh, you smell like dragon. Have you been riding? Like just the small details of like mentioning like that sort of makes the dragon feel more real than just like the
yeah.
appearance of it.
Because
Like
like in
it's
Game of
actually
Thrones,
looks
they were
real.
like, oh, dragons have been dead for hundreds of years. It's all just a legend. But in
Yeah.
there, it's like there they are. They even
Also,
have
I
a
like.
massive arena
Good.
to keep them in. But yeah, go
Oh
on with.
yeah, the arena. Well, we saw the arena in Game of Thrones, I believe, but it's like destroyed,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. But it was like all in
I
ruins.
forgot the name, but yeah. No, it's cool. And they also have saddles on the dragon, which
Yeah, yeah.
Daenerys never uses saddles, so she's holding on for dear life the whole time on the dragon. I forgot what's the name of the dragon? Is it
Drogon.
Drogon? That's right. I was thinking
Yeah, yeah.
Viserion, and that was a different one. Um,
Oh, that's the one that died
that's right. Yeah, Drogon. But
first.
she's just holding for dear life. But this time we have a saddle. That's cool how it goes. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, last thing before we move on, unless you have anything else to say.
Uh, actually, I want to know what do you want to say. Is there something else?
No,
I have one more thing to
I was just about to joke. What? Because they mentioned smell of dragon. What do you think the dragon smells like? Because it's like you reek dragon. Have you been riding it? What do you think dragon smells
Mm, oh, I
like?
have never smelled the lizard up close, so
Do you think
whatever
it's
a
like? Do you
lizard
think it's like
smells like,
smell of like burning charcoal or something of like? Because it's like
wait,
fire, like fiery, like a wood, like a fireplace,
I mean, that's not far off. Shit, they could actually
like a
smell like
smoky,
burning
like a
flesh.
smoky, like a smoky. Yeah, probably right.
It probably smells like burning flesh, but not in a barbecue kind of sense, but in a very disgusting kind of sense.
Kind of.
Because the barbecue is delicious. I don't think dragons smell delicious. Otherwise, you wouldn't say reek.
Scent. I'm gonna put on my dragon smelling cologne.
Oh my god, dragon perfume.
Game of they should sell that. A lot of people's like, I'm gonna
Oh,
buy this.
Old Spice dragon
Old Spice dragon scent.
dragon Cynthia.
Uh,
But yeah, I still had one more thing to say. What is
Go
it?
ahead.
Like, yeah, again, because I like dragons. It's kind of
Hmm.
the reason why I got into the show in the first place.
Hmm.
Like, I like the dragons. They look kind of interesting in design. It's like it's not. They don't just. Oops. Like they don't just look like normal dragons. I think what's his name? Matt Smith's like he has his own dragon we see in the end. Like it had
What's
like
it?
four.
What's the name of his dragons? Like, um,
Oh,
Kalek.
I forgot what the name was of the
I'm gonna
dragons
Google it. I'm
actually.
gonna Google it.
But like I saw his
It's a
dragon,
weird
like
tough name.
it looks interesting because it had like two pairs of wings or some shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
The
and I guess
design.
Rhaenyra's dragon as well. Like it had like a singular horn on its head. I don't know. Like I just like the design. Just looks, how do I explain it? It doesn't look like a common dragon, like the one that Daenerys had. They look a bit more special in a way. So I like the variety, I guess you could say.
No, yeah, I agree. I think the variety is gonna be interesting as well as the
Araxis.
colors. The colors. The Caraxes. That's the name of the
Yeah.
dragon. Um, the colors. I believe there's gonna be like so many different colors of dragon, which is gonna be fun to
Oh
see.
yeah, yeah. Rhaenyra's one is like gold, and I think Caraxis was like red.
What is the name uh of her dragon? Rhaenyra's dragon.
Oh, it was mentioned in the beginning. Can I look at it?
Da.
Irax? Irax, is that the name?
I don't know. I'm trying to look it up, but I'm not sure. Rhaenyra Targaryen. Let's just Google it.
Or is
Let's
it
find her.
Dohaeris? Oh no, no, Dohaeris
Cyrex.
is
Yeah,
a bird. Yes,
Cyrex.
yes, Cyrax is the name. I
Yeah,
like how
but yeah,
Cyrax look. It's all golden, golden dragon.
yeah. Caraxes, Cyrex, melees. Uh,
So did they all have like? Do each of them have their own dragons? Does Viserys has his own dragon?
I think so. Well, I know Viserys was the last person to ever rode the dragon that belonged to Aegon. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe. I forgot what the name of Aegon's dragon is, but I believe like he was the last person to ever rode on it, right before it gone. But yeah.
Yes, so yeah.
Also, funny story. Apparently, I heard this. I keep on saying this the last thing we say, but I keep on going.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a backstage thing where they mention of like Matt Smith was like, um, he was talking about his dragon, and then it was like, yeah. So what what the hell's the name of his dragon again? I keep on forgetting the name of his dragon. I
He keeps
couldn't
forgetting
remember.
the name of
I
his
keep on
dragon.
forgetting the name of his dragon. That's a funny behind the scenes thing. It's like he couldn't remember. What the bloody hell is the name of my dragon? Yeah. So yeah,
Caraxes. Okay.
fair. Yeah, but yeah, I have nothing else to say. I'm super invested to see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying this so far. You know, a different timeline. To be honest, like I've never been like tired of Game of Thrones. I've always,
Mhm.
ever since it ended, I've always been rewatching clips, and some of them is just like
Yeah,
random titles, like for example, Tormund being Tormund for 4 minutes,
I I
or
am like
something.
I'm like obsessed with like the Game of Thrones commentary clips. 'Cause I don't
Yeah,
have access to full commentary track, but like I watch like that Game of Thrones and the cast are like doing commentary track on it, and some of them are just hilarious. And some of them are like
yeah,
super insightful. I just love watching that. The clip outs, whatever is available on YouTube. But yeah, that's great.
yeah. Same. I like watching basically just anything related Game of Thrones, either old scenes or lore or whatever. So I guess, so yeah, the fact that we're getting something new is actually quite nice.
Yeah.
And it's not like most things where people like where it usually ends up being terrible, like the remake or something. But this is, I mean, not the remake, like a sequel to it or something. So, but this one's actually really good. So super invested in it. more invested in the thing we're gonna talk about next.
Fair, fair. But yeah, all right. So let's just move on from the House of Dragon theme
To
premier
House of
discussion.
yeah, to House of Banners.